welcome. Happy New Year to you. Nice to see you all for this first of our Wednesday webinar series for 2023. Today we are welcoming Eva Bukowska, who has come to talk to us all about these colourful shiny objects you can hopefully see on your screen there, the Cosmo. We've got 30 minutes in total for this afternoon, so Eva is going to give us a demonstration and give us some information about the Cosmo interfaces, and there'll be an opportunity for questions if anyone has any at the end, or if something occurs to you as we go along today, please do put your message in the chat and I can relay that to Eva. This session is being recorded and it will be uploaded to the Call Scotland YouTube channel in the next couple of days as well, so you'll be able to view it again as many times as you need to from there. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Eva. Thanks very much, Eva, and yeah, looking forward to finding out all about the Cosmo.
Thank you, Claire. Okay, so I'm going to take over. As Claire mentioned, there will be Q&A session towards the end, but feel free to pop your questions in the chat, which Claire will monitor. And if there's any technical issues as well, if you can't hear me good enough, then let us know in the chat as well. So yes, I am from Cosmoid Felicia, which are the accessibility buttons that you can see on the screen. My role is community engagement management, and my previous experience is working with children and young people with social emotional difficulties, learning difficulties and disabilities in SEN schools, as a private tutor and in charities. And I have personal experience growing up in an SEN family with an older brother with Down syndrome and autism, although without official diagnosis. So a little bit of personal experience on that as well. And today I'm going to tell you about Cosmo, what it is and how it's being used in different environments. I'm going to show you a couple of videos and I'm going to show you the buttons and the app. And then if you have questions, feel free to pop them in a chat or save them towards the end and we can chat about what you would like to discuss that I didn't cover in the session. So Cosmo ecosystem consists of two parts. The first part are the buttons that light up. They are very responsive to touch. They are made out of plastic used in fighter jet cockpits, so they are very durable, they are very robust. They last for many, many, many years because we wanted to make them suitable for extended use for many years so that professionals don't have to worry about any damage. Or if children or young people mishandle them, they will last through that as well. So they will not get damaged if they get dropped on the floor, if they are exposed to hitting them or pressing them very harder. They have adjustable responsiveness, so they are suitable for different sensory needs. You can activate them with just one finger, but you can decrease the touch sensitivity to 50, 40, 10% to encourage muscle building and tailor to different tactile needs as well. And then the second part is the Cosmo Training app, which is available on iPads, which you can see on the screen, which has a collection of 18 basic games and activities and 30 games in total, which aim to support the development of core cognitive, physical, and social emotional skills. You can have up to 6 buttons connected to the app, so you can have individual activities and you can have group activities based on the environment that you work in, and then activities revolve around. But the main principle is learning through play. So we aim to provide playful opportunities to be able to interact in group activities, to develop speech and language skills, to be able to learn emotions and sensory and emotional regulation, to be able to provide opportunities to move around and incorporate movement-based learning and therapy. But the core principle is to incorporate a strong element of fun, music and movement into learning and therapy. Cosmo has been designed based on research done with University of Birmingham and Cambridge in a couple of years ago, which investigated how Cosmo and music mediated interventions in SEN school can support students in developing social emotional regulation skills, speech and communication, and increase the frequency and quality of communication and engagement in learning. And I'll share the link with you to our website towards the end, so that if you're interested in the research, there's more description on our website, including methodology and students' demographics. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna show you a quick video which shows users interacting with the Cosmoids, which are the buttons that you can see here, and the app, which will be the best representation and demonstration of how it can be used. And then I'm gonna talk a little bit about the app. So let me show you my screen. Oh, thank you, Claire, for sharing the website. So I hope you can see my screen. Claire, if you could just confirm that it's white for now, but there will be a video. Yes, brilliant. Okay. Claire, say again.
Sorry, Eva, I was just about to say we've not got any sound, but then the sound kicked in.
Okay, it might be a little bit delayed because of the internet connection. I'm sorry, but hopefully you will be able to hear and get the main idea.
Yeah, it's a wee bit of buffering, but it's not too bad.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so I realized the video is a bit choppy because I can see that on my phone. But what is happening here, as you can see in the video, you can do things and perform different functions with the buttons. So it's all the games are very interactive, and 70% of the games can be played without having to look at the screen, because you will be pressing buttons, you will be hearing music, you will be able to follow light sequences. So the app for 70% of the activities is just a hub where you can set up the activity, put the iPad away, and your students and clients and family members will be interacting only with the buttons and themselves, because we want to promote social interaction and for technology to be a mediator of social interaction and learning and therapy, and not for students to have to concentrate on the screen, because that sometimes take away that valuable social interaction. In this activity, which is a musical activity, each of the buttons corresponds to different musical notes of a particular instrument. So you can have a piano, you can have some other instruments, and as you press the buttons, you will be able to hear different musical notes. So you'll be able to hear C, D, E, A. And you can do that to play music. So this is quite advanced musical game, which you can use for improvisation and creating music. So recently we played Jingle Bells with 5 buttons, which you'll be able to see on our Instagram profile, which was a lot of fun. So I'm going to press play and go to the next activity.
Δύο. Θυμάσαι ποια ήτανε? Για να σε δω.
For cognitive training, we have some memory games. So in this one, what you can see is a pattern of lights. Excuse me. So if you play with 5 buttons, for example, 5 of them will light up in certain order. And your task is to memorize that pattern. And when the lights go off, you have to press the buttons in the pattern they lit up. But it can be a little bit simpler than that. So there are 3 difficulty levels in most of the games, from beginner to advanced. So at the beginner level, you will start with only one button lighting up and then progress to more complex patterns. So you can tailor that to individual cognitive ability of every person you work with.
But where was Giant?
Where's the giant?
Okay, can you press now?
Where was the giant?
Storytelling is an interactive storytelling activity where you will have a story and slides on the iPad screen, and a teacher or well, an educator or a parent will be reading the story. And then as you go through the story, for each slide, there will be a different button will light up. And then as you when you press the button, you will be able to hear a sound that sort of demonstrates what's happening in this particular moment of the story. So if you have a story about going into the city, you will, when you press one button, you will be able to hear sounds of cars on the roads. When you press another button, you will be able to hear sounds of an ambulance, for example, or some people chatting on the streets. And we have lots of different stories about, for example, about a girl learning to swim. So when you press the buttons, you will be able to hear sounds of seagulls and ocean waves, which is very nice and relaxing as well.
Find orange.
Orange.
Ready,
One,
steady,
two, three.
red. Yay!
Color matching is really good for color recognition, but also communication and collaboration. In this activity, you will have a couple of buttons in front of you, and your task is to find two buttons that light up in the same color. So when that's orange, you have to work with your partner to say or to indicate which buttons are of the same color and then press them at the same time. So it's really good for maintaining eye contact, communication, and for example, counting down 3, 2, 1, let's press.
Yeah.
Orchestration is another musical activity, which is a little bit simpler than the improvisation that I showed at the beginning. In this activity, each of the buttons is not a musical note, but it's a musical instrument. And as you press the buttons one by one, you will trigger additional musical instruments. So for example, button A will be a violin, button B will be drums, button C will be guitar or something else based on the music track that you choose. So you can choose some classical music, rock, salsa, funky, urban music, folk music, based on your students' preferences as well. And then you'll press one button. You can sort of try and identify what that instrument is. You can use body language as well to indicate how you would play a physical, real instrument, or you can just simply use it for improvisation and group work as well. Turn taking is all about music and turn taking, as the name suggests. In this activity, buttons light up one by one to indicating that you have to press them to do something. So in this activity, you need to press the button to hear the music play, and then the music will stop playing after a specified duration. So for example, it will play for 2 seconds and then it will pause, and then another button will light up. You press the button and then the music will play for 2 seconds and then it will stop, and then a third button will light up indicating that you have to press to keep the music going. So this activity is really good for taking turns. As you can see here, you've got students who will take turns to press the buttons, but it's also about a lot about spatial awareness, cause and effect, reaction time. And in terms of what I mentioned at the beginning, that our aim is to incorporate movements into learning to enhance the experience and to help students learn skills more quickly. Then you can spread the Cosmoids around in the gym or in the classroom. And then what students will have to do, they would have to sort of watch the space for the buttons that light up and then run to the one that lights up as fast as they can to keep the music going. So for this activity, you can also upload your own music from iTunes, Spotify, or Apple Music, and that will be even more engaging for students to be able to play their favorite music tracks. I mentioned that most of the game can be played without having to look at the screen to promote that interaction with other peers. For some people for whom the screen might be too distracting. But we do have some video games as well, which aim to train a lot of different skills. So Tap Dash, for example. As you can see on the screen, you've got the block at the bottom of the screen and you've got some colorful blocks falling down. And here your task is to press the buttons to match the color of the block that's falling down with the block that's at the bottom. So here you've got yellow, and then you'll have to press blue because the next block is blue, and then green, and then so on and so forth. The activity starts quite at a slow pace, but then as you progress, it gets progressively more complex and more challenging. So really good for promoting group play here as well, and collaboration. Showdown is a fast-paced and very fun physical activity used at physical exercise games at homes to promote quality family time, and just as a break time activity for students to get up and encourage physical movement and healthy lifestyle. In this activity, you will have two teams, Team A and Team B. Team A will be, for example, yellow. Team B will be blue. And the task of the two teams will be to run around and watch the Cosmoids, the buttons spread around, and press the buttons that light up in their team's color, so either yellow or blue. And they will have some specified time, the duration of the game between, I think it's 1 up to 5 minutes. And whoever gets most points wins. So this game can be as fast as you want it to be, as fast-paced as you want it to be. Again, depending on your individual physical and cognitive ability. As you can see here, you can also attach Cosmoids to the wall. Each of the buttons has a magnet inbuilt in the device, and we provide magnets in the boxes as well. So you can attach them to the wall to engage different movements. So you can jump, or you can use the squishy balls to throw at them as well, to practice different skills. But you can also mount them to wheelchairs or tables with the magnets, but also with N5 screws, which I didn't mention before. So you can mount them to a mounting plate to enable physical access for students with limited physical mobility. And then I mentioned some speech and language development with Cosmo as well. My voice is an example of some speech building games in the Cosmo Training app. In this one, you can record a word or a short phrase with the iPad speaker because the Cosmoids themselves don't make sound and don't have speakers. And then as you press the buttons, they will play that word back with an overlay of funky voice effects. But you can do it also without any voice effects, and you will just be able to press the button to play what you had previously recorded. So I'm going to stop sharing this one for now, and I'm going to just show you another quick video which shows how Cosmo can be used with third-party devices, because those are basically Bluetooth switches. So you can either connect them via Bluetooth to the iPad and be able to play the games and activities, which is the core use of Cosmo. But you can also use them as accessibility switches and external controllers to navigate through third-party apps. So you will be able to use them to navigate through AAC, communication boards, to play some online games, to navigate through YouTube, for example, or internet browser for people with limited physical mobility. And I'm just going to show you a quick example because I'm conscious that we're getting close to the end of today, and I want to leave some time for the Q&A. So I'm just going to show one more video, which demonstrates how Cosmo can be used with an online racing game. And I hope you can see that. Yes, okay.
お願いします。何してるんですか、これは。
これは車を
コスモでゲーム。
コスモで運転をしてます。そしてサッカーをしてます。
なんてゲームですか。ロケリーかな。
これはロケットリーグです。
はいはいはい。アクセルどうしてるんですか。
アクセルは右足元に。
何。あ、なるほどね。はい。これちょっと進んでください。はい。アクセルいいよ。
Again, the video is a little bit blurry, but you can see the buttons, I'm sure. So in this scenario, you've got 5 buttons connected to one third-party device. And from our standpoint, you can connect as many as you want. It's the third-party app that dictates, I think, how many Bluetooth connections you can have. So here you have 3 buttons on the table, which is move left, move right, and then the blue one, I can't really tell what function it had, but I think it was jump perhaps. And then you have 2 buttons on the floor, which are brake and accelerate. So you can sort of simulate the real experience of driving the car, and you would be able to connect the Cosmoid buttons to any third-party app or device that operates on Bluetooth. So you can use them with Chromebooks, MacBooks, Windows computers, but also with your mobile phones with Android or Google phone or iPhone, with any online game, any software, any program that would allow Bluetooth connection. It's just that when you connect it to a third-party device, the buttons will be performing different functions. So here, for example, you've got the green and the yellow button, so that would be right and left click. Same as you would if you wanted to play that game with the keyboard on your computer, you would press the arrow right and left. And for example, if you're on YouTube for playing and pausing the music, you would use the space bar. So the Cosmo, you could use Cosmo instead of space bar. And yeah, I'll take a pause here and leave 6 minutes for questions. And I will share the link with you, in the chat that will take you to, we'll give you a list of links which will take you to our website and our social media profiles, where you will be able to see a lot of different pictures from our community as well and see how Cosmo is being used in different environments. And a link to our newsletter, educational newsletter, if you'd like to see future developments of Cosmo and stay in touch with us, then you can sign up for that. There's no spam, just relevant information. I personally make the newsletter, so I can guarantee that So I'm just going to share that in the chat. And Claire has already shared a link to our website with you as well.
Eva, just while folks are maybe, I can see some folks are typing questions, just a quick question. You mentioned earlier on that the Cosmoids themselves don't have speakers, that the sound comes from the iPad app. Do people generally then use an external speaker to kind of amplify? Particularly, I'm thinking if it's a noisy classroom and you're doing, say, a shared story with sound effects, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a good idea. It depends on the environment. If you have individual therapy session or individual lesson with just a couple of young people, then you can use the iPad speaker. But then if you have bigger session and a loud classroom, then using external speakers definitely makes sense.
Yeah, okay, thanks. I can see there's a question in the chat there about the Excel package.
Yeah.
So is that the app package that's being referred to there?
So the Cosmo Excel package says it has 18 activities. Yes. And how much is it to add more activities to the app? So it's $9.99. So it's around £10 a month or £100 a year to add the additional activities. So there's 12 more activities in the premium package, but it's also possible to subscribe to Cosmo. So to do either monthly subscription or annual license, where you get all the activities as you go, and the new activities as we launch them get automatically unlocked on your account. So it's either one-off purchase, the Cosmo Excel, so it's the 6 buttons, and you can additionally subscribe £100 a year and get those activities and the new activities released every month. Or you can do annual or monthly subscription and you will have access to all the activities. So 30 activities in total.
And so on the screen there, Eva, is that the kind of standard iPad package that you get? So can you possibly just explain how the purchasing works? So you buy one of the Cosmo interfaces and then you get access to the app as well. Is that correct?
Yes, that's 100% right. So you can either buy a pack of 6, which is the Cosmo Excel. You can buy a pack of 3, or you can buy 1. And with different number of buttons, you will be able to play different number of games. So the 6 buttons will give you a sort of possibility to play all of the games. The 3 buttons will also give you the possibility to play like 90% of the games. But I mean, I might be a little bit, it is enhanced experience if you have 6 buttons. And then with 1 button, you will be able to play some activities, but 1 button is mainly for enabling physical access to third-party devices. So the 1 button is mainly accessibility switch. But then it depends on like what's the environment that you work in and how many students you work with, or whether that's individual therapy setting. Then for some people, 3 buttons might be enough because they will not be able to concentrate on more, and more buttons will be just too much and overwhelming for them. Or 6 buttons might be perfect choice if you work in a classroom setting. So for now, I have all the 30 games here. So here I have all the 30 games, and the Cosmo app is free in App Store. So if you go to App Store, you can type Cosmo Training app, and that will be the first result. And if you download the Cosmo Training app, you create an account. So that's just your email address and password needed. You will be able to see 18 basic games. And then if you do in-app purchase, you will be able to see all of those games anyway. But if you'd like to explore the 18 games, which is still a lot, and it gives you a lot of opportunities for physical movement, music, in training social, emotional, and cognitive skills, then you can definitely do it for free. And yeah, this button is running out of battery. Unfortunately, that's why it turned off.
Great. Okay. Thanks, Eva. I've popped the link to the app for the UK App Store just in the chat there as well, so people can sort of have a look at the different options. But that's really helpful just to get that overview. I don't think we've got any more questions, and that is excellent timing on everybody's part, because that's us bang on the dot of 4:30. So I think we'll wrap this session up just now. I see you've put your email in the chat there. That's great. So if folk have got questions, they can come to you directly. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Super. Thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us today, Eva. Thanks very much everyone for being here as well. We're back in 2 weeks where we're going to be finding out all about the Pocket Phonics Stories app, and that's 2 weeks time today. So hopefully we'll see some of you back here for that, and I hope you all have a good rest of your Wednesday. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Have a good evening, everyone.